Snapchat disappointed people last week and Facebook did too yesterday, but still stocks are up after earnings and we're going to see why. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk everything about Facebook, their earnings, their expectations, why the stock have been dropping lately and why it is up even after bad earnings. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing and smashing that like button since it really helps the channel out. So as we can see here, I told you that the stock was actually up yesterday. We can see that the whole day is up 4.58%, and after hours the stock was up 4.73%. The market just opened or is about to open, and we can see that still, even though it went up yesterday a lot, the stock has been dropping massively in the last week. It dropped 6.3% until Monday, but then it has been recovering since earnings. And in my opinion, the stock has been dropping because of all the things going around Facebook, that whistleblower, Snapchat earnings, and many more things. Because if you recall, Snapchat did not have a nice quarter, and they said that because of all the supply issues around the world, companies were not spending that much money in ads. So people thought that that was going to affect Facebook as well, but was not like that. Also, something that Facebook have done that Snapchat hasn't is that Facebook managed to tell people about this Apple risks, the iOS 14 risks, since the iOS 14 came out. They have been saying that this was going to affect the revenue and the company growth, which was already priced in the stock since they started saying that. That's why it was not that bad of earnings, because if we can see here, we can see that the earnings, they reported $3.22 per share versus $3.19, so they actually beat earnings but not revenue. As you can see, they reported $29 billion in revenue versus $29.57 billion expected by analysts. Then daily active users, 1.33 billion, just like what analysts were expecting $1.93 billion. Monthly active users, they reported 2.91 billion, which is less than what analysts were expecting. Lastly, average revenue per user was $10 versus $10.15 expected. So they missed their average revenue per user, they missed their monthly active user, they were just in line with their daily active user, but they missed revenue. Still, the stock went up because they were already pricing in all this kind of things. Obviously, it didn't went as bad as people expected, and that's why it's going up. Another thing that helped with the uptrend yesterday is that the company said it's adding $50 billion to its stock buyback program, helping lift the shares about 2% in extended trading, which obviously is very good for the company because we know that buybacks help stocks continue going up. Now, Facebook also said that they will be reporting their revenue in the coming quarter in different segments, in two different segments starting next quarter. The first segment will be family of apps, which are all their apps: Instagram, Messenger, Facebook, and WhatsApp. And then the other segment will be all the Facebook reality labs. So they have been investing a lot of money in VR, RV, and the metaverse, and they want to separate that from the family apps business. Now, if we can see here, we already saw that the stock, even though the stock has been going down massively in the last week, this has been a nice pullback for us investors if we would like to buy, because it's down 14% since September 7th. And in my opinion, at the moment, I was not investing because of that, but right now, I think it is at a nice price. Now, let's go and check their earnings. So in here, we can see that they said, Mark Zuckerberg said that he is excited about their roadmap, especially around creators, commerce, and helping to build the metaverse, because he's focusing a lot of his time and money at the moment on the metaverse project. Now, we can see that their advertising revenue grew 33% year over year, which obviously, in my opinion, is a very nice growth. And the other segment was 195%. Remember that in the next quarter, these two segments will change. It will be the family apps and then all the Facebook reality labs here. So that's going to be new for us. We did see that their net income increased in 17%, which was the only metric that they were able to beat analysts on. Now, on their presentation, we can see that the Facebook daily active user increased a little bit quarter over quarter, and obviously a lot year over year in comparison to quarter 3 2020. Something that I liked is that last quarter we can see that it was 195 in comparison to 195 in quarter 4 2020, and it was decreasing since quarter 3 2020. And obviously that was not a good sign. People did not like that at the moment because they believed that the growth for Facebook was over. But we can see that here it grew 1 point, at least 1 point quarter over quarter, from 195 to 196 million daily active user quarter over quarter. Then year over year is still the same, 195, but still it's good that it's at least maintaining and not decreasing as it was in quarter 2. Obviously I would like to see this number growing, but I know that there is a limit of people with internet access in the US and people that really like to use Facebook. Then on Europe, we can see that it has been growing quarter over quarter as well, and year over year, even though it decreased from quarter 1 to quarter 2. Then the Asia Pacific is, and it is having a nice growth, better growth than Europe and United States and Canada. And lastly, rest of the world, way better growth as well in comparison to Europe and United States and Canada, both quarter over quarter and year over year. Now, their monthly active users, we can see that it grew. In quarter 2, they did not see any growth in monthly active users in the United States quarter over quarter. They did see a little bit of growth year over year, but not quarter over quarter. And here we're finally seeing a nice growth year over year from 255 to 261, and also quarter over quarter. Also in Europe, Asia Pacific, and not in the rest of the world. As we can see, it decreased quarter over quarter. Now, their Facebook average revenue per user is one of the metrics that they missed expectations, but still we can see that it is growing year over year from 7 to 10. But still, I understand that people were not that happy, as we can see that quarter over quarter in the United States and Canada decreased, and obviously that is not a good sign, as it means that people might be spending less money in ads. But still, I believe that this is just a short-term thing, and in the long term, I believe Facebook will continue seeing nice growth. Then on their revenue, something that people is worried about is that in the last 4 quarters, we can see that the revenue is kind of flat. It was $28 billion in quarter 4 and $29 billion in quarter 3 2021. It was a decrease quarter over quarter, but if we compare it to the last 4 quarters between quarter 4 2019 and quarter 3 2020, we can see that obviously quarter 4 2019 was incredible, as quarter 4 is always the best quarter, and it has been having a nice constant growth year over year and quarter over quarter. Obviously they saw a nice growth year over year from quarter 3 2020 to quarter 3 2021, but quarter over quarter has been kind of flat, and that's something very weird with this kind of companies, because if we can see here, this is a company that grows quarter over quarter and year over year. Obviously quarter 4 is always better than the rest, but we can see here that the growth has not been that constant quarter over quarter since quarter 4 2020, which is what we are seeing here. I understand that Facebook have been having different kind of bad news around the company in the past quarters, month, but it has been kind of the same in the past year. Now, something I do have to say is that I'm currently investing in this company. I have a position in this company, which I showed you yesterday on my yesterday video on my top 10 stocks, but I'm gonna show you today. Right now, I have a position in this company, which represents 6.98% of my portfolio. I'm up 40% as the stock is going up today and yesterday, but my average cost is $234 per share, which obviously is very, very low in comparison to what it is today. I do want to say that I like current price of Facebook. Obviously I love it below $300, but I think that this is a good price in the long term. I believe Facebook is the cheapest FANG stock at the moment. I will be uploading a video comparing all the FANG stocks after they all report earnings this week, so we can see which one is the cheapest one. But last year when I started buying more heavily into Facebook, it was Facebook. And in my opinion, this is one of my favorite companies because of their type of business, just like Google. Now, I will leave you here my video from yesterday talking about my top 10 stock performers. Thank you and see you next time.